Sure.
Yeah,
I'll put my
sure.
name- I'll put my name behind it. It's spelled D-W-A-Y.
Yeah, thanks.
We could do that for your next town hall meeting.
Sure.
We kept taxes stable for this year, but we're looking at a 30% increase for next year.
Here, take, I'm sort of.
Just see who comes,
See how many people hate me.
and then buy them all the cookie.
Chantel.
Yeah.
We'll justify it by giving ourselves
Oh,
a raise.
That's always a good one
Yeah,
that
oh,
gets
okay.
lots of feedback, is if you decide to give yourself a raise, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, that looks like we're on our way, Tom.
Should be
When
there.
your clock is ready, you're ready.
7 o'clock, we'll call the meeting to order. Any additions to the agenda? Hearing none, somebody wish to move them? Judy, any discussion on Judy's motion? Hearing none, I'll call the question in favor. Opposed, seeing none, it's carried unanimously. Moving on to the minutes of the January the 26th. Any errors, omissions, questions? Cole?
I would like to move them as presented.
Okay, Cole moves it. Any discussion on Cole's motion? Hearing none, I'll call the question in favor. Opposed? Seeing none, it's carried unanimously. Okay, now we have a delegation, Mr. Alice and his co-partner there. You can come up to the front or just decide if you want to
Oh,
wait.
this way.
Okay, that's fine. But anyway, Dick, have a chair.
Okay. So, I'm not sure what information's kind of come back to your council, but there's a new program in the province of Alberta called the Extended Producer Responsibility. It was started by the past Minister of Environment. I'm not sure, there's not proposed to be any changes with the new one. It's being managed by the Alberta Recycling Management Authority, ARMA they call it. And the mandate of them is to take over recycling in the province. So all of our depots will be run by them. There will no longer be buildings. There'll be great big roll-offs with lids on them and holes in the side, and everything will go into those commingled. So there'll be no, well, that's happening in our depots anyways, but there'll be no need to sort it anymore. So that's a plus. I see that as a real bonus. They will take over all of them, the whole county. So 9 of them we have, actually 10, we've added another one. So that's a good part. The part that's a little more challenging is the minister made the announcement that everybody that receives garbage collection in the province will now have recycling picked up at their house. And they're referring to this being done by blue bins. So you've all seen that in the cities, other towns. That's what they want to do here. They want to do it in Vulcan and all the villages that we currently collect garbage in. I have some issues with that. Number one, wind. Those bins, if they've got a lot of weight in them, they're not going to blow. But recycling tends to be light. So those can blow over in the wind, and we do get wind here a few days of the week. In addition to that, your streets are quite narrow. So every morning you got to roll this bin out, you got to get it away from vehicles, past them. And that's going to mean your streets, well, some of your streets are kind of one anyways, you got to kind of meet vehicles at the right spot. But when these trucks are going up, no one's going to get down the street. I have never seen this done with smaller trucks. I've only seen it done with the really big ones. And I think when the contract's awarded, we'll have to see what they come up with for that. But they claim they can come up with little ones. Well, I've asked for examples and I didn't get any. So these are big tandem trucks. They'll be going up and down your streets. Probably your streets can handle the weight of them. I indicated to them that we pick up garbage in the alley. We want these bins in the alley. So the alleys are narrower. Now you don't have to put it out on the street. Now you're not going to get your streets blocked. These trucks will be going up your alleys. And I believe Vulcan's alleys are capable of handling it. All the village ones are not. We have 4-wheel drive garbage trucks for a reason. In the spring, you sink in them. So I guess the decision that I have to make is whether, and I'm hoping that you guys can give me some input on it, is whether we want to go with the blue bins or whether we want to push them to go to a blue bag, which is simply a blue tinted bag. All your recycling goes in it, you tie it, you put it out just like your garbage bags. There is a risk of those blowing as well because they're going to be light, but I don't really think it's any worse than a lot of the garbage that's put out. We don't, you know, Dave's kind of used to where he has to pick it up now anyways. Everybody's kind of got some way of holding it, preventing it from blowing. So, you know, this is where we're at. What do we want them to do? We have the right to we have the right to control what they do. They can't just come in and say, no, you're getting bins. We can negotiate with them. October 1st, 26 is a startup date. They're taking over all the depots on that date. That I'm not gonna stop because I really wanna get rid of those depots and the costs of servicing them. But the collection, we could, in theory, hold that off for a longer period of time. Say, no, not unless you can come up with a solution, we're not gonna go in on October 1st, we'll go later on. And I also think that you could actually opt right out of it. You could say, no, the depots work. We currently, people take the stuff there, we're not having a lot of recycling put out with garbage. I think we've kind of beat that problem already because our garbage man sees everything that he puts in his truck. So this is kind of why I'm here. I'm pretty sure I've got the input back from the villages as to what they want. But it's difficult for me to kind of speak with you because you are in a different, you do have the alleys that'll handle the trucks. You do have streets that'll handle the trucks. It's just what do you think you want? One of the other issues with it that I believe should, go ahead.
Yep. One concern would be up by the golf course, because we don't have back alleys.
No, it'd have to be on the street as well as all the
And
new
then
development.
vehicles park on both sides, so
Yeah.
that would be an issue in that one alley, which is a street.
So you just roll the bin out past where the cars are, so they just stick out a little bit farther than
And
the
it'd be in the
cars.
middle of the road on that, non-8.
Pretty common.
Richard had a question first.
You mentioned, Dick, I have a couple of questions there. You mentioned that pickup, you mentioned every day. It wouldn't be every day.
No.
No,
It would be once a week or?
weekly, yeah, probably every 2 weeks if we did it.
And the next one is a fellow I know lives in Okotoks. They have front street pickup. And I was going on ride-alongs with him and it was a pain to park. Like
Yeah.
that's one thing to consider the front. It is, you're moving cars and they give out tickets for it and
Yeah.
so just an observation as well.
Okay, Chantal.
Another observation as well is that, like, we have a bin that we put our garbage in. I know garbage is heavier, but I have seen bins compared to the bags. Bins do seem to stay in one spot.
Yeah.
I haven't really seen the wind take too
Well,
much of an effect on it, but I've definitely seen bags.
I guess the
Floating down the
examples
street.
that I've gone by with the wind is in Lethbridge where you get a cul-de-sac and at the end of the day, all the bins are down. You get to meet your neighbors because you gotta go through all the bins and find your number.
Yeah,
And it's, you know, it does happen,
yeah,
not all the time, but it does happen.
it does, yeah, for sure.
The other issue with the bins are, once you give your citizens blue bins,
Yeah.
are they going to want black bins for garbage?
Mm.
So that means a total retooling of all our equipment. Our hauls won't handle that. I mean, they can be retrofitted, but they're not the truck for that. So it's just not gonna work. You've gotta buy new equipment. I'm pretty sure that the Waste Commission's just gonna opt out of collection if it has to go to that. So then you're gonna be tied to these larger companies. And I think you've probably all seen what's happened in places like Coaldale and Tabor. They come in, they promise you these rates. They've actually tried to do it here. Oh, we'll match your price, we'll do it for 2 years, sell us your trucks, we'll take your employees. Well, then in 2 years, guess what happens? They double the rate. Meanwhile, I've got all Tabor's infrastructure out here in our depot. We bought it all. They have no choice. They're tied to it now.
Yeah.
So whereas right now you control your own destiny. The town of Vulcan, if the commission went wrong, the town of Vulcan could buy a haul garbage truck very easily and pick up your own garbage. But getting into the big stuff where you're looking at $700,000, $800,000, can't do it with one truck. It's utility. You have to have two, especially those trucks. Those arms go out, pick up those bins, dump them back down. Those things are very high maintenance. I'm not even sure where they go to get them fixed. Most cities have their own mechanics specialized in that. It's a whole new world, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and some of the villages, I know when we were originally talking about it, there was one that was really quite adamant, said, we're not interested in door-to-door because we do have our residents trained. And I think you're right. It would be something that might be a great option to say, hey, we're going to just go to the roll-offs at the site
Yeah.
and pick up the same as, like I was there today, dropping off some cardboard, and what's the difference for me to drop them off in a commingle facility compared to dropping cardboard in the cardboard and the,
Yeah.
glass and paper and on and on. So I think that it's something that was definitely considered. Anyway, cool. So,
The only concern I would have with either bag or bin is special times of year like Christmas where you have more recycling than can fit in it. What's the solution if you don't
There's
have?
still a depot.
Well, there's still a depot.
Yeah, your depot will be maintained. We drew the line on that because we also serve county residents.
Sure.
We can't pick up bins at their houses.
Yeah,
That took a long time to get through their head that, well, why not? But
yeah.
it's, I mean, we would still maintain the depots. The frequency of dumping of those depots, it'll no longer be anything I can do.
Yeah.
We don't have equipment. This is gonna be big companies, contracts. They say, well, you'll be able to call us and we'll come and get them. Well, I just know from some experiences, Nanton, Clarsholm does it themselves. They've had a lot of breakdowns where they end up having to take a 3/4 ton truck and a trailer and go around and pick it up. Now they gotta dump these bins by hand into an open trailer in the wind. There's just a lot to it, so. Our transfer stations, our garbage that goes out of them is very clean. Because when you bring stuff out to our transfer stations, if it's not recycling, it doesn't go in the building, it goes wherever it has to go. When Dave's picking up garbage, it's the same thing. Now, we'll make exceptions for some people that maybe don't have vehicles, senior stuff. We'll maybe take some of their recycling in with the garbage, but normally we won't do it. He's fine with leaving it behind, and he does in a lot of cases. So, it's just, I mean, it's what you guys want. That's,
yeah, and I think that it's like you're saying, it's potentially something that we could try and say, we're going to try the roll-offs to start off with, and then see what.
yeah.
Like, I know that, you pick up cardboard probably 3 times a week from our facility.
The bins?
Yeah,
Oh, more than
It's
that.
more than that.
Yeah.
is it? Okay.
Most times it's 3 times a day.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Depends on the day.
On the day, okay.
The
So-
cages.
And then once a week for the rest of the stuff in the facility?
For the paper and glass, not as once a week.
Yeah, once a week. I was just trying to say, like, if they had a roll-off, how often, will that roll-off be filled? Especially when they commingle the cardboard and, the cardboard is more of an easier 1-2 degree to separate out, but when you got glass and tins and that, I understand the commingle on that, but the cardboard itself is.
It's going to be a couple bins a week out of Vulcan. Vulcan pretty much produces as much as the rest of them, I would think.
Yeah, I was just curious, because
Together.
Wayne, I see you picking them up most of the time.
Yeah,
And what, and the villages are about a quarter
Well,
or?
once a week in most of the villages.
Yeah. Okay,
Arrowwood's once every 2 weeks.
yeah.
see,
And I know we have nothing other than Dwayne sits on the commission, but we have nothing to do with what your commission does. But it is interesting to see what the villages are interested in doing, because we don't want to do something here that potentially is going to affect them either.
yeah, well, I'm pretty sure the villages are all going to opt out, at least of the bins.
Yeah.
And I don't think they're going to, they can't have those trucks in their alleys. Like you guys fix a water break or dig up an alley, you fill it with pit run and you make it hard. That doesn't happen in the villages, and our trucks go, they sink in them all the time,
Yeah, the
wherever
majority
the
of
last
the
year's repairs.
villages, the water service in the back alley,
Yeah.
so any type of construction whatsoever
Yeah,
is a detriment to any vehicle going down there, whether it's waste authority or whatever.
and your public works are generally able to get the alleys open for us. In the villages, like the 4-wheel drive's getting us through the snow as well. Actually, Dave prefers it left because then he doesn't have the ridges on each side, so he can just go down them with that, but.
Yeah, Chantel had a question, sorry.
Oh, sorry, just to confirm, so you can opt out of this altogether? Is that an option, or there is
We can opt
mandatory?
out of the house collection,
Yeah.
or we can go blue bags. or we can go bins. Those are the three options.
Chris, you have a comment?
Could we introduce possibly like a phase rollout, like take a neighborhood in town to actually do a phased in piece where it's voluntary, just even test if people are even doing it?
I don't think you could do it voluntary because they have to contract it out. So they would,
okay.
like, let's say you took the Allen subdivision, 200 houses. So their contract would be to pick up 200 bins on the street in front of 200 houses. So they would supply the bins that would go around, and then you could do an area, I suppose. You could try that, but it's not the same. To do the new development would be, well, I don't know, some of that might not be that easy either. There's
West
pretty
Spring
narrow
Creek.
streets.
Yeah, pretty narrow.
West Spring
But it's
Lake and
different,
West Spring
right?
Creek.
Yeah.
Like the Allen subdivision would be different than the rest of Vulcan. So it's, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
Cost-wise, what do they,
No cost to us.
no cost to us, so they're just gonna take the recycling and make money off that?
Yeah, that's,
That's the idea, right?
so the EPR program means everything that you've purchased for the last 15 years has a built-in amount that goes to the federal government. That is for recycling it. Alberta has gone into that program now. They're getting that money from the federal government to pay for this. Now, I don't think there's any guarantees on how long that's gonna continue.
Okay.
Like, is there gonna be enough money? That's a lot of bins and a lot of households in the province of, what, 6 million people now?
Yeah,
I don't think they quite,
figured it out.
Understand.
So it's
Yeah.
gonna have to jack up somewhere is what you're thinking. no?
It'd be like policing.
yeah.
So if the program stops with the federal government, that means the province or municipalities as a whole are gonna have to pick up costs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and now your households will be expecting it, and now we will have
Yeah,
to buy
exactly.
trucks, or
Yeah.
contract it out. And if not very many of you were ever around here when we had BFI, when we did have big companies doing it, but I have followed what happens in Nanton, and they'll just miss a whole street, whether it's because somebody was blocking it when they come up, and they don't care. Like, you can phone them as many times as you want, they're not coming back till next week. And for the garbage, that's bad, because if you got diapers, you've got other stuff in July, that's a problem.
Yeah.
And the alternating of it, like Lethbridge does, where every third week they take the black bin, then the gray bin, then the blue bin. So my daughter's house, as an example, she only gets garbage picked up every third week. So, you know, that gets to be pretty nice in July. Every house has all these new areas have these bins up front, and they get really, really raunchy. So we would probably stick to the garbage every week, but I'm not sure we would have to do recycling every week. I just don't think there's enough.
Okay, Kim?
Just for the rest of council's information, when Dick and I were talking about this, we really looked at, because the expectation is already there in Vulcan for garbage pickup, and we have a very high quality service compared to what we had when we had BFI, because again, they weren't picking up their bins, they weren't, so with this program, again, we are, and I think that was probably why I asked Dick to come to council as well, is we are a major contract for the commission for picking. Like we are the majority of that budget. So if council makes a decision to change that significantly impacts the operations of the Waste Commission as well. So
One of the other issues with waste collection is our garbage man's 67, 68 years old. One of these days he's gonna realize he could retire and get a pension and possibly,
just don't tell him.
so.
He doesn't watch the meetings.
What happens, then, well, the options are, it's gonna be pretty difficult to hire anyone that's gonna replace him and do what he does. It's a nice job when it's 70 above out, but when it's snowing, when it's 35 below, when it's raining, it's not a nice job. And find people that are gonna take that on for what he gets paid, and it's hard, but we do have the option of contracting that out. It's really easy to contract household pickup out with haul trucks, not staying away from the big companies. That's always an option too. So, and even if we did go with blue bags, we could contract that out the same way. Anybody can get into that. Anybody can buy a haul truck. It's the $1 million trucks. the $1.5 million investments that people can't make.
It's the bin trucks
Yeah.
that have
That
to
flip
flip
them
them.
over.
Yeah.
Like the city of Calgary, like when I was living there, they have three. They have the green, they have
Yeah,
they have the blue, and then they have the garbage, right? And they're all stacked in, and you can look down your alley, and that's all you see. You see
Yeah.
all the bins and all the trash that those things partially dump out because they pull it out and they fling it around, and if it's windy, like you say,
yeah.
your alley ends up looking horrible over time until they actually grade it and push everything out, and then it's clean for a little bit. But
That's right.
it's just, eventually they're gonna probably pitch the green bins to us, and then there'll be 3 bins, and then looking down a street.
Yeah,
And again, it's not so bad if it's potentially an alley too, but it's just the front street where you have vehicles parking and
Yeah.
like Richard said, it's, you try and find a spot park and all you got is the blues and the greens and, and some,
Yeah, and when I first got my blue bin and green bin, within 3 months, both of them were broken, partially busted, cracked, and some didn't have lids on them anymore. So,
the problem with the black bins, like the perfect world would be both, right? We just switch, give everybody this. The trouble with the black bins, you can put car batteries in there, you can put small engine blocks in there, you can put everything in there. So we no longer have control over what's going into our transfer and what we're sending to the landfill. And if we start getting the garbage too dirty that's going to the landfill, we will be looking at higher rates. So, like Lethbridge has essentially already done that to most of their customers. We still are clean enough, even though we have dumpsters coming in, those dumpsters are dumped, the truck's dumped, and we can actually get, if there's a tire in there, we can get it out. If there's pellets in there, other stuff that's not supposed to be, they grumble about it, but our guys can get it out of there. So, I really don't ever want to go to the bin for garbage. That's just not a good thing.
you got a question, Judy? No. Oh, okay. Well,
The one thing,
go ahead.
I mean, the citizens of the town of Vulcan are pretty good at doing recycling.
Yeah.
So why can't a blue bin be a larger blue bin, put at the depot, and everybody just take the recycles and throw into there?
Yeah.
That gets rid of all of those,
Just like we're doing now.
yeah,
Yeah.
keep it simple.
Yeah, well, that would be my choice.
And I think you've got a good point there, that we've trained theoretically the
Yes.
majority of our residents within the county and the villages to where they're at and the service that you guys have offered. So I thought that you might have potentially, have to move some of those around, you guys would, but kind of sounds like they're gonna be out of your realm of having a piece of equipment.
We'll have nothing to do with it. So we're still gonna have to monitor them, of course, because who else is gonna do it?
Right,
But when they get full, there's a number we call and they'll come and switch it out.
right,
They're gonna try to estimate the frequency, and the first estimates I got, they're a little bit off.
right.
But maybe in the winter, the one at Little Bow Resorts could get by with 1 bin a week.
Yeah,
But, Vulcan is probably gonna need 2 or 3.
right. Yeah,
So-
go ahead.
So Dick, the collection there where the cardboard cages and all, that's gonna be going on First Street North?
Yeah, well, that's where the bins will be. The depot will be maintained, it'll just be a great big roll-off. Have you seen the bin at the hospital
Yep,
that's got the holes in it?
Yep.
That's what you'll have.
okay.
Great big bins, everything goes in them.
Everything recyclable, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and then there's a recycling facility in Lethbridge that sorts it. It's an amazing one. It's come so far in the last 25 years.
Okay.
They do a really good job of sorting.
Yeah.
The problem with our county is the north part, they're not gonna wanna haul it all the way to Lethbridge because it's close to Calgary, so we very easily could end up with a split where we're going 2 different directions, but that's not our problem, that's theirs.
Okay. And we have to do that, don't we? The recycling, whether we have bins or things, they're taking it over on
Oh,
the 1st October, is that what you said?
Yeah, we have to do that for economical reasons.
Okay,
Like, I can't maintain the budget I have today if we've got to continue recycling. It's getting to be a big, it's gonna cost more than transfer stations within 2 years if we don't get out of it.
okay.
Okay, any other questions for Dick? Okay, well, we'll discuss it some more and get back to you, or
Yeah.
get back to Dwayne and he can get back to you, or whichever.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Thanks,
Thanks a
appreciate
lot,
it.
eh?
Okay,
Let me know if you have any questions.
you betcha, thanks.
All
Wayne,
right, take care.
Wayne, give me a phone call tomorrow, will you, please?
Okay.
Thank you.
Dated what?
Thanks,
Yeah.
Nick.
Emma and I have been dating for a long time.
Alrighty, well,
On that note,
Uh-oh, maybe I shouldn't have said that on camera. My
Okay.
apologies.
well, we'll move on to correspondence and informational items. Letter from MLA Hunter. Any questions on his 30 pages of
24.
Only
He's pretty
24.
short this time.
24, yeah, sorry, of information?
So move for information.
Okay, Mr. Hill, Dwayne moves him. Any question on Dwayne's motion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, it's carried unanimously. Okay, number 6.1, hiring and labor negotiation policy PEO1 amendment.
and so, with council's, direction on, moving the community services assistant to the marketing, and communications assistant, we had to update, these two policies to reflect the job descriptions and the organization chart. So the first one is the job descriptions within our hiring and, labor negotiations policy.
Okay, any questions on that one? The PEO1 is not? Cool.
I'd like to make the recommendation that council approves the amendments to the hiring and labor negotiations policy PE-01 as presented.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion on Cole's motion? Hearing none, I'll call the question in favor. Opposed, seeing none, it's carried unanimously. Okay, the next one is organizational chart policy A20 amendment.
This one is exactly the same, it's just adding that, position in, replacing it.
I'll make the recommendation that council approves the amendments to the organizational chart policy A20-20 as presented.
Okay, any discussion on Dwayne's motion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. Those in favor? Opposed?
You got a
Seeing none, it's carried. Okay, moving on to current business, petition declaration.
So I was able to formally review the petition that was presented at the last council meeting. I typed up the declaration and have sent a copy to Mr. Kornhoff, who presented it to council. It did come up insufficient. Having said that, it was very well done. The rest of it was all done as per it should. There was only 8 names that were non-electors on those. And they were just shy of the 177. So there is no requirement as per the MGA for council to act on this. So, but you do have to acknowledge that you did receive an insufficient petition.
Judy?
I'll make the recommendation that council acknowledges the receipt of the petition regarding the telecommunication antenna proposal and acknowledges the declaration of this petition to be insufficient, and that council is not required to take any notice of it as per section 226(3) of the Municipal Government Act.
Okay, Mr. Hill?
Question, with this now basically done with the petition, is there a period of time for Mr. Carndolf and or somebody else to come up with another petition? Or does this lie in state for a while?
Yeah, this was their attempt at the petition. They
Okay.
could start another, but I don't think that there was any ambition to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Hearing none, I'll call the question. Those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, it's carried unanimously. Thank you. Moving on to the Marcus Foundation parking request.
So we received a letter following the last council meeting that the Marcos Foundation is looking for a handicap parking stall to be installed on the roadside on First Street North. And so, as you can see by the map, there's a 30-foot section by the sign there where we can simply paint the curb, put the sign on the boulevard. And I believe this is the area that the Marcos Foundation had originally was thinking about doing that. So I've talked to Stu, the cost of the paint, we of course have to do that when the weather permits. requirements for it to adhere properly to the sidewalk. The signage we can do within our current budget. The only thing that would be different from this, from some of our other installations, is due to the condition of the asphalt there, we're not recommending painting the symbol on the road just because it'll get wore off and won't adhere very well. So, because it's parallel parking with the sign on the side and the blue painted curb, it should be adequate, should council want to move forward with designating that.
Richard?
I'll make the recommendation that council approves the Marquise Foundation's request to have a handicap park installed designated in front, she's doing that thing to me again, in front of Peter Dawson Lodge on First Street North, and directs administration to coordinate the installation of appropriate signage and curb painting for the spot.
Okay,
I just wanna say that it was the residents that requested that that be put there, and that's why the board brought it to the town to see if it was possible.
Okay.
So thank you.
thank you. Anything else on this one? If not, we'll call the question. Those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, it's carried unanimously. Okay, development agreement DA.TOV.26-01.
So this is, as you know, for the industrial lot that was just sold, moving forward. They've got an acceptable proposal for putting the power into this site, and one of the requirements of the sales agreement was to enter into a development agreement. And so we used our standard template. The only addition to the standard template that was made, as noted in the report, was the requirement for water and sewer to the principal building. One thing that's worth noting as well, we've checked with ORSC, and inside our development agreement, we were kind of worried about this one from an application standpoint because we weren't sure about the principal building, because we do require a principal building to be on. And in this instance, the building that they're putting on screw piles that's being hooked to the power will suffice as a principal building. So because they do not need water or sewer to those buildings, we've pulled that from our standard development agreement. There is provisions for road development as well at their cost, but that's going to open to a larger conversation when you look at the development of the adjacent lots that we're going to look at later in the meeting.
Mr. CAO, have you had any feedback from the residents of the town of Vulcan with regards to this data center moving in?
No, we haven't heard any feedback at this point.
Interesting. Bowles is getting quite a bit of feedback on one that's proposed this evening, I saw in the news. That's why I asked the question.
Yeah, no, we haven't had any public feedback on it at this
Cool.
point.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, go ahead, Chris.
Oh, I was just gonna make the recommendation.
Okay.
That council directs the mayor and CEO to execute development agreement DA.TOV.26.01 on behalf of the town.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion on Chris's motion? Go ahead, Mr. Knight.
Maybe our CAO should reach out to the company that's putting one in Knowles, and
I will do some research tomorrow.
thank you. That's it,
Okay,
Mr. Mayor.
any other questions? Okay, if not, call the question. Those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, it's carried unanimously. Okay, land purchase offer.
So this one's very straightforward, immediate possession date following council approval. It was for the asking price on the proposed lot. I apologize, that is the wrong map. This is for 604, this is supposed to be 619. So 619 is this lot right here. I apologize, I don't know why it came up right when I looked at it. So this is down and around the corner, and yeah, sorry, that map is inaccurate. I'll get that fixed tomorrow morning. But yes, this is for a lot across. It's very straightforward. The proposed use is they're looking at RV storage at this point.
That's not where our dirt pile is, is it?
It is right, there's about this much, so Stu and I had a quick look at it. The dirt pile is on this lot here and
Okay.
out into here.
Okay,
So there is a little bit of cleanup that'll need to be done.
Yeah, just so that some of the council knows that we had some issues with the previous dirt that was on a lot that we sold, that we anticipated the dirt was ours,
So
and
we could move it back
they felt that it was theirs, and there
after
was,
we sold it.
after we sold it.
We will
Sounds like
discuss,
fun.
we will discuss that through the purchase agreement on this one. That development agreement will address the moving of the dirt.
Okay,
I'll make the recommendation as presented.
okay, Dwayne moves this one. Any discussion on Dwayne's motion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. Those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, it's carried unanimously.
I didn't want to stumble through it like Mr. Bull.
This thing keeps coming up.
Computer shut
This thing
down.
comes up and
Have your computer shut down
Yeah.
halfway through it.
I hit the X.
Okay, moving on to the CAO vacation and meeting cancellation.
So normally when I ask for vacation, it's usually not where we have to cancel a council meeting. This one, I will not be back in time to put an agenda together for this meeting. So should council approve the vacation time, then it's recommended you cancel the meeting. If you don't, then you don't have to worry about it. I may have to find another job. And my wife informed me she's going without me regardless, so, but, no, all kidding aside, this will be after our planning meeting. Should urgent business come up, the mayor has the capability of calling a special meeting of council within 24 hours notice to deal with it. I will be out of the country, so I will not be able to answer right away, but I will, as always, when I'm on holidays, make sure that I can be contacted.
Oh, Chantal.
Ooh. I'll make the recommendation that council approves the chief administrative officer's request for vacation leave from February 25th through to March 11th, 2026, and that council approves the cancellation of the regular meeting of council scheduled for March 9th, 2026.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion on Chantal's motion?
There'd only be one council meeting in March then,
No, yeah, there will only be one,
unless,
unless,
Yes, you hold a special.
unless
Thank
we
you.
call a special one. Okay, thank you. Any other questions or concerns? If not, we'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, it's carried unanimously. Okay, moving on to committee reports. We have 4 of them there that were submitted. Mayors and Rees from the December 5th. Any discussion on that one? Okay, if not, then we'll move on to 8.2, the Southern Alberta Seniors Protect meeting of January the 14th. Okay,
is this a report from the last meeting?
that's from the last one. Not this last one, that was just last week. This was the week before, the month before. That was, and I spoke on it.
Yeah, I remember that, but I'm seeing Gabriel's report, 4 new elder abuse, 1 in Fort McLeod, 1 in Claresholm, and 2 in Vulcan. Was that not similar to the report previous?
Could be.
Okay, no, that's fine.
I thought it was only one in Vulcan.
I don't remember, that's why I'm asking.
Yeah,
Thanks for the clarification.
okay.
They do have Meg Beer's name on there twice, and I think Lori moved the meeting adjourned, so they just forgot hers, but that's their problem, not ours, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, anything else on that one? Okay, if not, we'll move on to the draft minutes of the January 13th MPC. And again, this one, all of these ones have been talked about, but. Okay, no questions on that one. Moving on to Marcus Foundation of January 27th meeting. So this one here, Judy hasn't had an opportunity to highlight it. Okay, any questions on this one? Okay, if not, for a motion? Cole? Okay, any question on Cole's motion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. Those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, I'll declare this carried unanimously. Moving on to verbal ones, so Councillor Sanderson.
So as per noted on the January 27th one, we had Marnie Larkin come concerning self-contained housing and that we could get it for nothing, but always, and I appreciate Tom coming and sitting in on that. That was very good. Sometimes if it sounds too good to be true, it usually is. We have found that Marnie's business is shut down due to an auditor general audit and conflict of interest, so that was a little concerning. Then that's why it went under the John Q. Public instead of her company's name. So when we kind of figured it out later, we'd be paying about 90 to 100% of that back. So why wouldn't we go through the HPP? So I just wanted to update you on that. January 31st, we had a building committee meeting for self-contained housing through the HPP. So Lorraine and Kelly and myself were on that at 1 o'clock. The point of that is we had to review the 3 applications for Milo, Arrowwood, and Vulcan for self-contained housing. And the cost of these projects for the Marcus Foundation would be about $1,193,827, and the HPP would potentially cover the rest with a total of $7,844,000. I don't know if CMHC is involved in that, so that's kind of what was left over. And each community is required to donate land, but with Vulcan, it's on provincial land, and so it might take longer for Vulcans to get done because we're trying to get that provincial land turned over to the Marcus Foundation and not deal with the government on those. But we're hoping that we don't get approved the first round because it was kind of a rush thing to put it through. But the way our luck's been going lately, they'll probably give it to us just because we're so busy. So the value of the land for the town, the villages would have to put in Milo and Arrowwood would be about $15,000, and that would be for the site upgrades. We went through each application separately. There was a couple corrections to be done on board members with the change of council, and so it was submitted by 3/36. So we were very lucky to have Lorraine as a partner, and I think largely due to her that we got our lodge government approval on that one. And she said she was lucky to work with us because when we say we're going to do something, we get it done right away. So now we wait and see what happens there. And then had a building committee meeting in Calgary on February 6th, and I will discuss that in the closed meeting.
Okay, any questions for Judy? If not, thank you. Councillor DeVoe.
I haven't had any meetings, but Mayor Grant had mentioned something last meeting about the tie-in from the county, and so it made me think. So I did phone our town foreman, and I told Tom and Kim about this. The length, I was thinking you're putting the vault for a meter and all that right away, but it sounds like it's going to be about 100 meters away. So I addressed that and sent it to Kathy and everybody about, I felt that the county should be on hook for any maintenance, anything like that, the actual install and that. But, so I think it's going into the MOU now, so hopefully it all comes out on the right side, and it sounds like it's going in the right direction, right?
Yep, sounds like they've got it covered.
Yeah, so that was about it. Nothing really. Get a couple thumbs up from people saying they appreciated all of us and what we do, so I'm just say thank you, so thank you. That's good to hear. So that was about it.
Okay, any questions for Richard? If not, thank you, Councillor DeVoe.
I haven't had any meetings. I do have one tomorrow. I think there's gonna be a conflict for the library board meeting, because I believe it's on the 18th and we're gonna be in High River. So I think unfortunately, I'm gonna miss that one if they keep the date. But I am gonna reach out to Connie and see if it's possible, because I know there was a question mark on that, so they may be able to adjust. Other than that, I had my first recognition as counselor this last week, I guess. And again, somebody had just said, say thank you, you guys are doing a great job. So, that's it, that's all I got.
Okay, any questions for Chantal? If not, thank you, Councillor Mitchell.
No committee meetings for me in this period, but had a couple people kind of picking away at the telecommunications bit. There was that last meeting, so I had some questions there, and then there was a property on Fifth Ave that there were a couple taxpayers that had questions about as well, just on a structure, but we were able to answer those questions, and administration was able to communicate that with me really quickly, which was great. But other than that, I don't have anything really else to share.
Okay, any questions for Chris? If not, thank you, Councillor Hill.
Had a meeting with Vulcan County Health and Wellness on January 28th. We went over the previous minutes, which were approved, discussed some correspondence, and listened to standing committee reports, the executive, finance, governance, and fundraising. And through the governance, there was discussion on updating the standard operating procedures on a couple of things, which will be forthcoming from the designates of that committee. Gave some updates on the wellness, and then Paulette gave quite an update with regards to the situation with staffing issues, the x-ray area, overall what's going on with how they've now broken it up into 3 basic different areas in the one hospital, which is causing some confusion. Was kind of directed back to the chair that maybe we should be talking to someone to try and get how the cohesiveness is. They have these different people come down and they're trying to talk to them about the overall area, and they back off and say, well, that's not part of my mandate. My mandate is only this. So there is some confusion there. She talked quite a bit about burnout on her staff, which is quite a concern. Talked about doctor retention, and again, the x-ray machine came up, and we're seeing the foundation is seeing what they can do with regards to helping convince Alberta Health Services in moving forward, even though the machine is only 9 years old. It is there, but it's creating problems with staff injuries and those kinds of things. So other than that, that's the only report I have, and Mexico was grand.
No report? That was it?
That's it.
Any questions for Dwayne? If not, thank you, Councillor Dunham.
I haven't had any meetings. Had some feedback, not all positive, but I'll leave it at that. That's it.
Okay, any questions for Cole? If not, thank you. Moving on, I did attend that meeting with the Marcus Foundation. I found it kind of interesting, this lady that spoke, her presentation was really good. I when somebody like Judy says it's not going to cost you anything, you kind of sit back and say, oh, how's it work? But just the presentation itself, her presentation was that they built, was it 28 or 24 daycares in Manitoba, which is kind of neat in 1 year. And now they've got a daycare in a box, I think they call it. And so I mean, their main goal is that they can build these facilities, but they're built off-site, but they're more or less like the old days of the Nelson homes. They came on a flat deck, all walls together, and then they just came and stood them up and finished them. And that qualifies for some of the funding programs. And the other thing that she spoke of, which is the great relationship that they have with some of the grant programs, which for a lot of municipalities and a lot of organizations, the grant program is the most scariest ones for everybody to get their head around, and how do they qualify, and so I was impressed with that part of it too. It was a good meeting. I appreciated being able to hear, and Nels was there too, and so we sat there and and heard the presentation, so it was good. Go ahead.
So it's the first time in Alberta, they're looking at 2 projects in Alberta. They're more in the, right, Manitoba and Saskatchewan, is that
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah, and it's funny how, it's like what we always talk about, you gotta be careful. She says we can't discuss where we're at, because, we're in negotiations, and then as she went through it, she let out where the two places were. So, it's really hard sometimes, to sit on that information.
Well, the
and not,
enthusiasm about it probably,
but anyway, if you just sat there long enough, you figured out where they were. But anyway, it was good. Then I went to the Senior Protect I was on the teams for February the 5th, and there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 12 of us on that call. And again, they talked about the caseloads, and they said that they had 4 again, like you had talked about earlier, Dwayne.
yes.
And I believe that the numbers are very similar, so I'm not sure, you got a good question there, whether those are, ones that are just being, there's still caseloads that are there.
Mm-hmm.
The one girl from, Miss Megan from the Vulcan FCSS, said that they've had 1 case of elder abuse. And I believe all 5 cases are to do with financial side. They're not the physical abuse side, but they're, like the one she spoke on a little bit is that, the grandson or granddaughter got a hold of this lady's credit card and was charging stuff up on the credit card. Now this lady has to come up with the money, and and that's how it's been going on, and they're trying to deal with that. Then the other thing they ran into was they talked a little bit about the one that Kim and I went to, the discussion about abuse in care facilities, and how they can get around it. And Lori and this Gabrielle and one of the other people, I believe Gail, went to a meeting on that with the minister, and they said, well, it's never been reported to the RCMP. We need more direction on that. And yet the lady from the RCMP that was there said, sometimes it doesn't fall into their category of what they can handle. So long story short, they needed to be careful, whether it goes through the RCMP or it doesn't. So that was pretty well it. The next meeting's on March the 5th. Again, it's at 9 o'clock in the morning, so we'll see how that goes. And then Mayors and Reeves, I attended by Zoom. There was 20 in person and there were 16 on Zoom. Again, you saw the information that came from Grant Hunter. He wasn't there. None of the MLAs local from the MP or PCs were there. And of course, this is the first time that anybody from the NDP has showed up in the last 5 years. But of course, they're the saviors of the world because he showed up to a meeting, and I would love to have been there to explain to him that he is a shadow minister from Lethbridge West. That we haven't seen him darken the door, but yet when the other ones don't show up, they're the bad people, and they're hiding from the rest of the world. But there was no MLAs, or he was the only MLA, the MP, no MPs. The RMA has a new representative for it was Jason Schneider, and now it's this Kelly Chrisman. She's from the county of Newell. And she talked quite a bit in length about the policing funding model. And so there was a huge discussion about the policing funding models that are coming out. some of the rural municipalities are really being hit hard, which they had never paid anything for years, but now, some of them paid 1.4 million, some, $1 million. So the increase in that, there is something coming down the pipeline for FCSS, potential funding increase. But again, the skepticism of that one, it's been spoken about in the past. But both this AM representative and the Ms. Kelly from the RMA both have talked about that they've heard good rumblings that there's something coming down the pipelines on FCSS funding. And then there supposedly the municipal affairs has said there's 27 municipalities that are not viable and should be eliminated, and so we're not sure, they didn't know who they were and which of the, but there's 27 potentially ones that aren't viable.
We're not on that list.
Yeah.
And there was a bit of a discussion too about there was some municipalities are going to try and put in the tax notices about policing on there, and how they're going to try and get around it and is that they can use a separate sheet. It's not on your tax notice, but on the separate sheet it would break down all the areas that you're funding. And they're hoping that that'll get around it. A couple of them have brought it up with municipal affairs, and they said, not a problem, it's just anticipated that if you do this, you'll get a map review instantly. So, Kim went through the map review 3 times or twice now, and it's not a friendly direction to go. Then we had a presentation from Chinook Regional Library System, and she spoke on, and I thought I wrote it down, how many libraries there are in the province of Alberta that are, like municipal libraries, but it was like 325 or 324. Of course, Chinook, she was explaining the advantages and disadvantages of the library system, and how, the partnering that we have in our area with Chinook has been very good, and why we need to keep funding it.
We have their presentation, we can send it out if you'd like.
Oh, yeah, it wasn't too bad, yeah, so if you wouldn't mind, sending it out to everybody. It kind of just goes through of where they spend their money and how much they're getting and how much but again, it's like every department that's out there, especially this time of year, are always saying that they're overworked and underpaid, and the funding model doesn't match what it should be, and it's been years since they've had an increase, so that is another one that's coming up, and that was pretty well it. The next one is meeting will be in March the 6th, and yeah, so that was it for me. I've got a couple meetings coming up. I have a attraction tomorrow night, and then on Thursday next VAPA meeting, and then next week on the 17th there's a meeting in Coaldale for the SEWA. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to make it or not.
What day was that?
17th. It's the Wednesday. It's the
Tuesday.
That's
Tuesday.
in the daytime, right?
Yeah, it's at 2 o'clock in Coaldale.
Oh, I'll let you know.
Yeah, I'll make sure that you get the
Okay.
information.
Thank you.
And that's to do with, we've got, Dick and I were just talking about it earlier, we've invited 24 different groups to listen, and this gentleman from Global Green is gonna give a bit of a presentation and about what is being proposed, and go from there. So we're hoping that Dick was saying that a couple of the other municipalities that are working on building something are interested in coming and hearing what's being proposed. So Cause some of the numbers that are coming through are exactly what we anticipated they'd be, and, they went from a plant that wasn't gonna cost anything, now they're up to, somewhere $250 to $300 million, so. So that's it for
Is
me.
it an open meeting for those types of organizations, or no?
It is open to a degree,
You have to RSVP.
Yeah, you have to RSP, it's an invite by
Mhm.
invite, but yeah, Willow Creek's coming for sure, and they're interested in showing up, and I'm not sure, we never invited, and it'll be interesting, South Grow, cause South Grow's got a department or area that they're looking at, moving some of the projects forward too, so,
What about Newell?
Newell's not coming in.
Okay. They're still going their own direction, are they?
They're in a blackout right now, communication blackout, so. No. So. Okay, any questions for me on any of mine? Okay, if not, somebody wish to move the reports? Richard? Any discussion on Richard's motion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, it's carried unanimously. Okay, moving on to action list.
As you can see, everything was completed from the last meeting. Still odd not having that first one on there, so it's gonna take a while for me to get used to. Unless there's any questions on any of those items, I can move on to my CAO report.
Okay.
It's been a busy couple weeks. Been trying to get the information together for the committee of the whole. Everything's coming together fairly well for it, for the 18th to the 19th. I've been working with North and Company pretty steady with land transfers and those sort of things. And they've been helping me out with a current agreement that we're working on as well. We'll speak about it in a closed session. I don't know, may have heard, we've had to answer to the county for some questions on pool bookings again. This is the same thing that was addressed in the spring last year with different schools in our area. So we've provided the information. Hopefully that will be enough. We seem to go through this every spring. So, and there is no real good resolution to the request. So we're looking at how our pool is booked from the schools as opposed to just putting it out there for whatever dates they would like. So we're working on that. Worked with the AMA field officer to try to get a course lined up, and again, going through offers with our real estate agent on the industrial. We're seeing quite a bit of movement out there, which is nice to see. Again, talked to the waste authority about the recycling program, just how that impacts garbage pickup within the town. We went through a bunch of the numbers, like how many we do the areas with back alleys as opposed to the streets, those sort of things. And I thank Dick for coming to council, because that is a huge thing that impacts their operations significantly. So working with bylaw and development officer on a building file, which Chris addressed that he had received some calls on. We've been working on that since the day it started, and hopefully be able to get that remedied within the next couple of weeks. And
That also has been mentioned in the fire department app.
yes, we actually
Chief Jones
engaged.
brought our attention.
We actually engaged the fire chief to come have a look.
Yep.
The marketing and communications assistant has been oriented. That went really well. I'm also going to provide information. The community service manager is have been helping him with negotiation with our licensing agreement. You guys know that contract has been renewed on a year-to-year basis. They've been bought out, so now we're dealing with a new company, and we're really working at them getting a good understanding of what we're doing, because they looked at us as just a marketing thing and how that works. So we had some good news from them, but things that we have to talk about probably in the planning side, because it will impact our budget as well. And various council members, just IT and bylaw. Marquis Foundation has been quite a bit of information passed back and forth. The community member ones, we had some very strongly opinionated members of our community, not necessarily all taxpayers in the town of Vulcan, that were upset about CRC rental. And again, that's a policy thing with Palliser, so we just rent the facility and we do not discriminate when somebody in our community rents the facility for a meeting. So, giving out some information on the local improvements. So far, we've been getting very positive feedback, so I'm anticipating that hopefully we'll get good numbers on the 18th when everything is due. Formal meetings, Superior Safety Codes, obviously that was dealing with that building, and Northern Company with some agreements with Future Bill and the other file that we're working on.
Okay, any questions for Kim? Okay, if not, we'll move on to the development officer.
Before we move forward, weird question, do we have a fly swatter?
Fly swatter?
There are multiple of these bugs.
I think you brought them.
Yeah, like they're really drawn to me. And I'm not
Sorry, we
sure
don't-
what's happening.
Just slap them out of the air.
I won't touch them.
Oh, okay, well,
They're the maple bugs.
Yeah.
And they,
they're friendly.
when the weather gets to the
I don't
right
wanna be
temperature,
friendly.
they come alive.
Yeah, when it gets warm, they come up.
Yes, sorry.
Okay, anyway, sorry about that. Okay, now moving on then to the development officer.
Do we have detail on the like the business licenses? Like it says 6 there, so I'm just curious. Like, what are they, or can we get? I can ask for that like at a later time, but just out of interest, just curious.
Yeah, you
What
can,
that-
yeah, and so the majority of them, they're new, come in and get a business license. They could be somebody that's traveling through to do anything from eavesdrops to handyman work. They have to get a business license when they're in, so that could be 3 new businesses doing that, not necessarily people setting up shop in town.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
and the best way to keep track of that is we have them listed on our website, so if you know them, or come in and talk to Rita.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, anything else on Rita's? Okay, if not, we'll move on to Public Works. Any questions on the stews?
Just that I missed the Christmas lights on the.
Yeah, it's kind of disappointing.
Yeah.
I mean, they had such nice weather to take them down. I
Yeah.
don't blame them, But in a way, like I said, it is kind of nice to see them.
You did a good job.
Okay, no questions. We'll move on to the community services. Any questions on Chris's? Okay, bylaw. Okay, no questions on that one. We'll move on to the fire services. There's 2 different ones. One's the December one, and then the other one is the January one. And as you notice, the majority of our calls for the town of Vulcan are to do with medical
Medical assist.
or the majority of, which is good on one hand, but kind of disappointing on the other, that
We need to.
we need to support that program so much. Okay, any questions on Doug's report? Okay, If not, I'll entertain a motion. Chantel? Any discussion on Chantel's motion? Hearing none, I'll call the question, all in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, it's carried unanimously. Okay, now we need a motion to go into closed meeting, and if it's agreeable, we'd like to go.
So one is a land purchase offer, and you're going in under the Free Access to Information Act, Section 19(1)C, which is the, this is the protection of third-party negotiations. And then the second would be for Marquis Foundation Senior Housing Project Update, and that one is for the access to information as well, and that is disclosure harmful to the economic and interest of a public body. And that's because there's grants and funding from outside bodies that is being discussed. So if council is agreeable to both those will be put in the motion.
Okay, we'll go into both, for both of them at the same time, so Judy, moves these
At 8:10.
at 8:10, yes, thank you. 2010.
2010, that's correct.
Mr. Mayor? Any discussion on this motion? Hearing none, I'll call the question in favor. We're officially in the camera, so